The USGA conforming golf ball list is a very long golf ball list. What deems a ball to be non-conforming? They're a little bit smaller, a little bit heavier, so you tend to get more roll off of those golf balls. Those would not be on that list. If someone makes a golf ball and chooses just not to get it USGA conforming, it wouldn't be on that list. Doesn't mean it's a bad golf ball. They just didn't go through those steps. If it is the average hack who is looking for a ball that may give them a little more distance, or a ball that's not on that list that maybe they like, then I don't think there's too giant of an issue with that. Does it mean it wouldn't work for your game? No.
Hi, this is Ryan Wilden from Staten, Oregon, and I play at Mallard Creek Golf Course. Brought to you by Dynamic Golfers, this is Golf Smarter number 839.
Learn which of the 70 new golf balls in 2022 is right for you with Johnny Cox of GolfBalls.com.
This is Golf Smarter, sharing stories, tips, and insights from great golf minds to help you lower your score and raise your golf IQ. Here's your host, Fred Green.
Welcome to the Golf Smarter Podcast, Johnny.
Hi, Fred. How's it going?
It's going well. I'm so glad that we're able to put this together. I've been wanting to get you on the show for a while. Actually, I've had your brother on the show a couple times now, Tom Cox of GolfBalls.com. Now, are you the big brother, or is he the big brother?
Yeah, well, first, let me apologize in advance that you had to put up with him a few times. So I definitely apologize there. I am the younger brother.
Oh, I know what that's like. That's what I am, too. We love to give them a hard time, don't we?
They deserve it.
Absolutely. So I'm curious, this is a family business, golfballs.com, or he brought you in along the way? How did this work out?
Good question. I would say he brought me in along the way at the very beginning. So for me, I was simply looking for a way to earn some extra income on the side, being a college student, and this was back in the days of where we were just a used ball company. And so I was literally the guy that got hired to sort used golf balls, sitting on buckets and dropping them in 5-gallon buckets, depending upon the ball and quality of the ball. And that's kind of where everything started.
So wait, this is the job you took out of college?
So yes and no. How about that? So while I was still in college looking to earn some extra income, that's when I said, well, let me help them out a little bit. And so that gave me a little extra income. I graduated, and honestly, I had planned on going to grad school up in Rhode Island to kind of get a hospitality administration master's, and visited the school. Hadn't been accepted yet. Then Tom and his partner at the time offered me a full-time role, and this was in the mid-'90s. And I said, I don't think this internet thing is going away. I don't think it's a fad. And I said, it probably would be a good idea to get some management experience and some computer experience. So I said yes to that. And then 2 weeks later, I got accepted to that college, and I think staying where I was the right move.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So what is your role at golfballs.com?
Sure. My role presently is Director of Merchandising, as well as working with mailers and the creative on that side of things. Originally, it was really Director of Customer Service was my primary role for about 20 years. And we moved in transitions. As you grow and ebb and flow, we found that the needs of the business really had me needing to be in the merchandising role more than ever.
Mm-hmm. And what does that mean? What are you doing in the merchandising side?
So on my end, my team is in charge of the product addition to the website. That's part of the meetings and the preparation of what we need to do to get products on the website. It's making sure things are where they need to be on the website. And lastly, when it comes to mailers, is when we send an email out to our database, you got to make sure it's accurate. The images look good, the value is there, and just focus on that and making sure it's right 100% of the time.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure you have to make sure the images are right and everything on the golf balls, because your clients are the golf ball manufacturers. They wouldn't tolerate second-rate stuff, right?
No, they don't. And to be very honest, we have focused on that since day one. Images are everything, and so we, for the most part, we create our own style of imaging for the dozens. Just if you notice on the website, they're all arranged in the same order and look the same way, and we offer the multiple views of the golf ball, side stamps. Everybody wants to make sure the type of ball they're getting, or the type of Pro V1 or super soft or what have you. So we always focus our energies on making sure the ball images are as good as they can be.
Mm-hmm. So did you and your brother grow up playing golf?
We didn't. We didn't. Our growing up, I think it was fairly typical of what we did. We basketball, baseball. Yep. He was football. I was soccer. So there was some stuff going on there. I didn't take up golf until I was probably 19. Tom, probably much the same around that time frame. Maybe a little bit older than me at that point. But it was never really anything that was. Our father didn't do it, so we really didn't pick up into it at all until we were working at golf courses.
Well, wait, and then what happened? Wait, you're working at golf courses?
Yeah, that was my second job, was working at a local golf course. And, as a cart boy, you get to chip the balls out of the corner of the range. That was your job, the ones that get stuck. So that's kind of where my love of the game and just the game in general. There's such a peacefulness out there. We'll call it peacefulness amongst the chaos.
Well, you have 4 daughters. Chaos probably better than most people.
Yeah, we'll call it chaos management.
One of my all-time favorite lines about raising kids: when they get into high school, you go from being a manager to a consultant. Yeah.
There's no doubt of that. I call it, when we shifted to 3 kids from 2, it was very easy what it became. It moved from a man-to-man defense to a zone defense. And it hasn't changed. Whether it's 3 or 4, it didn't change anything. You're still playing zone defense.
That's really funny. Let's get back to work here. Now, you said you manage the database and the mailers. You guys do a lot of email marketing. I get stuff from you, and I don't know how many addresses that I've registered with you, but I get stuff on a daily basis at the very least.
Yeah. It's and I'm only a part of the cog, we'll call it, but there's a lot of great individuals that go into making sure we get this right 100% of the time, and it is a concerted effort that we put forward in a game plan, and we map it out and do our best to hold everything that we're trying to accomplish.
And how significant? Can you share how large your database is of email addresses?
That one I would probably feel better for Tom to answer, but I can tell you we do everything we can, to make our customers and our database happy, because the last thing you want to do is kill them with too many emails or spamming, or as they would see it as such. But we always want to make it relevant also. That's important.
Right. Well, the reason I brought you on today and that I wanted to get somebody back from golfballs.com is because with the new golf season, there's a lot of new product that seems to be hitting the market. I've seen multiple videos on YouTube of various instructors testing out new golf balls. And I wanted to try to get this translated to the amateur average weekend hack like myself, and see what it all means, and if there are significant changes going on, or is it just marketing hype? There's a lot to discuss. Is there a lot of new product being introduced right now?
Sure. I will tell you, our initial conversation, I kind of mentioned there were over 50 new ball types that are coming out in 2022. I recounted the number. It's actually over 70. And that's just with the big brands, so to speak. So there's infinitely more than that. I was a little surprised when I saw those numbers.
Whoa. That's unbelievable. Is that a significantly large number compared to previous years?
I can't tell you that it truly is. I just think I've never actually looked at the number. I've just reacted. So, about every other year is when those new models for a particular ball type come out. So an example would be Pro V1 or Chrome Soft, or typically it's every other year is when the new version will come out. And so it just so happens we're on a particular year where there's a lot of new models from the different brands that are coming out.
That is really unbelievable. But, what we're hearing about with so many other businesses these days is supply chain issues and getting product to market. What's happening with golf balls? Is there a scarcity of inventory available only because of the shipping issues?
Sure. So the shipping issues obviously impact everyone in every industry worldwide. It is a battle that I think everyone is facing. So everyone feels each other's pain. In the beginning, when the pandemic hit and all this started happening, everyone was very understanding of the delays, and now people are still understanding, but they still want their golf stuff. In the golf industry itself, I think we're still seeing those delays just because once they get to the port, it's one thing to get it shipped out. It's another thing to get it through the port and to get the truck scheduled to be able to pick them up. I think that's kind of where the bottleneck is in for some of our companies. The inventory scarcity is part that. It's part it's a known issue. There's a Surlyn issue as far as for golf balls, and so everyone's doing their best to work with the companies that produce Surlyn to be able to make sure that their inventory is covered and can be produced, and to limit inventory scarcity as best they can.
Hey, we're going to take a quick time out. When we come back, we're going to dig deep into the various golf balls and what they mean for the average golfer, and why they should be interested in the new product that's available. And we'll be back right after this. This episode of Golf Smarter is brought to you by Dynamic Golfers. Now, for the last 3 months, I've explained to you why Dynamic Golfers is a secret weapon that can help you increase your distance, feel more comfortable with your golf swing, and enhance your well-being to help you focus more clearly. Now it's up to you. Dynamic Golfers is so much more than golfers-specific workouts. It's a daily stretching routine that will impact many other aspects of your life too. The only thing else I can tell you is that the folks at Dynamic Golfers were interested in Golf Smarter because we provide a targeted audience of golf enthusiasts who are looking to improve their game. But they returned to Golf Smarter in 2022 because so many of you responded, and I was sincere in my testimonials of success. Just yesterday, I was doing workout number 167. They introduced me to 2 new stretches that I've never done before with their workout or any yoga routine I've ever done before. It's focused on the flexibility of my wrists, and boy, did I feel it. Not painful, but great. So let me implore you one more time to go to dynamicgolfers.com/golfsmarter and sign up for the 7-day free trial. Check them out for a week for free. But when you're ready to truly enhance your flexibility and mobility, sign up for the subscription and use the coupon code GolfSmarter to receive an additional 15% off your membership. That's dynamicgolfers.com/golfsmarter for your 7-day free trial. Then use checkout code GolfSmarter, one word, GolfSmarter, to get 15% off the membership. dynamicgolfers.com/golfsmarter. We're here with Johnny Cox of GolfBalls.com. We've met his brother Tom, CEO of the company, many times, but when I asked Tom if he could talk about the various golf balls, he went, talk to my brother. So Johnny's with us today. Johnny, one of the last things you just mentioned was the Surlyn issue.
Yeah.
Sorry for being stupid. What's Surlyn?
Sure. The cover that is on many, many golf balls, whether it be just an average hack like yourself or myself, or even our tour level players, there's some form of Surlyn even within those covers. And it's something they're working through as far as just trying to make sure they have the inventory for their respective golf balls. But I think they're doing a great job managing it. And for the most part, 2022 hasn't been that big of an issue as far as being able to supply the inventory, where some of 2021, it was a little more difficult.
Mm-hmm. And do all the golf ball manufacturers basically use the same composition of Surlyn on their balls?
You know, I don't believe so. And I'll leave it at that. You know, they all have their own, we'll call it special formula that is proprietary to themselves. Mm-hmm. So while some of the ingredients, you know, we say down here, when you make a gumbo, there's a bunch of different ingredients that go into making that gumbo. And I will call each brand, they make their own gumbo if you follow. And so where many of the ingredients may be the same, that they may be putting them together differently.
Okay. Clearly, you're talking about gumbo, so you're not from Chicago or New York.
True.
What?
No, I was going to say Cajun country, South Louisiana. So
there you go.
It is very prevalent down here.
Oh, wow. I love freshly made, authentic gumbo. It's amazing.
Agreed.
All right, let's talk about golf balls. Should amateur golfers focus on a specific ball for themselves? Or
that is, yeah,
the guys that pick balls up out of the woods and fish them out of the lake themselves, mm-hmm. or buy them used, is that fine for them?
So I think it depends what you're trying to get out of your game. That would be my answer to you. You know, for myself personally, I don't play the same golf ball, but it's not because I may not want to. It's because in my line of business, it's in my best interest to be able to try the different product, to be able to speak about the different product. So that is my reasoning behind not playing one particular golf ball.
That's valid.
If it is someone such as yourself that is we'll call ourselves a weekend hack, but we like to try and take it serious, then I would say, yeah, finding a ball that works for you does make sense, and sticking to that, because at that point, then you're knowing the details of what that ball can do for you around the greens, or you know how far you need to chip it for the rollout that's going to take place with the ball, or different things like that. If it is the average hack who doesn't take the game seriously and maybe plays once or twice every 6 months, they may not be taking themselves as serious to where they need to do that, and they're just looking for deals or the golf balls they find in the ponds to protect themselves from the number that they're going to lose during the course of a round.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's guys who play, you know, you're saying a couple times a year they play charity tournaments, and you know, they get a free sleeve of balls anyway, and they're going to lose them no matter what. But you know, most golfers that I talk to, they're always talking about, I'm not going to get fitted for clubs. I need to be more consistent first. And the response to that is surprising to them, which is, no, get fitted now and you'll be more consistent immediately, right? No, get a club that works for you. Is it the same way with a golf ball? Once you find a ball or is it all psychological, that you feel works for you?
You know, I think there's a lot of trial and error, especially with golf balls, because there are so many of them out there for you. So the same style of ball in a Titleist ball, there's a similar style in a Strixon or a Callaway or a Bridgestone. And so there's definitely a lot of work that goes into finding what ball works just right for you. You know, is it all psychological? I don't believe so in any way, shape, or form. You know, I'm going to go way on the Wayback Machine for a second, back to the late 90s. You know, when the compression craze first hit, the low compression craze, if you remember that, it was the Precept MC Lady was kind of the ball that brought that all to the forefront. And I always remember people saying, man, I get an extra 15 to 20 yards out of this. And this was back in our infancy. We were selling just pallets of these balls every week. That's how popular it got. And so I think psychology will only take you so far, but if the reality is these people were reordering these balls because there was something to it for their swings. And so that's the key, is finding that ball that fits your swing as best you can.
And it's a trial and error.
It has to be. If it's anything less, you aren't doing yourself justice by just trying to find one and kind of wedge it into your game to make it fit. It just doesn't work that way.
Right. And, you know, for our game, it's 10 strokes on any given day. You know, that you can range from having a great round and, well, you may not hit 10 strokes better than your index shows, but you can easily go 10 strokes over what your index shows on any given day. Maybe let's go 5 down or 10 up. Should we, you know, on that random day, because like, oh, well, this ball is just not for me.
I feel that way a lot personally when I'm playing. Yeah. You know, that ball, you know, it's the golf gods are against me with that ball today. So I'll swap it out in between holes. No problem at all. You know, and there's something to be said. You know, they always say weather conditions too impact a ball and what it can do. And so there's definitely, I just go back to be willing to try different product. It's important to your game because what's going to happen is you're going to find something that makes you go, whoa, I like this. And then what will happen after that is in 2 years, another version will come out and you're going to try to find that same ball that's no longer being produced. We get those questions a lot, actually. You know, I found 1 year ago that I got an extra 10 to 15 yards on in distance, and I'd never encountered that before. So I'd always heard it from like the Precept MC Lady Buyers or the Vulvic Crystal back in the day. And I had never encountered it until I hit, it was a Wilson Staff Duo Soft Spin. So that throws me back probably about 10 years, give or take. And everything was about 10 to 15 yards longer. I couldn't figure it out. And then I realized, oh, that was one of those moments, was that ball fit my swing just right.
Interesting. Is it a risk for the manufacturers to change balls regularly, to make changes to them?
I think it's healthy. They're always testing. And you know, if you ever look at the USGA conforming ball list, that there are a plethora of different golf balls out there. Let's say Pro V1, there's so many different variations out there because even their tour pros play, in some instances, different versions that we have than the standard version. So it may be an older version, it may be a version that they're still testing, but it's on the conforming ball list because they're working on it for those players.
We're going to talk more about the conforming ball list concept, but we're going to take a time out and we'll be right back. Johnny, you mentioned a conforming ball list that's put out by the USGA. How much product is available out there that is not conforming? And obviously, anybody who's just playing with their friends, they can play any ball they want. But are there advantages to playing a non-conforming ball?
That's a good question. So the USGA conforming golf ball list is a very long golf ball list, first and foremost. And they release the updated copy of their conforming ball list. I believe it's at the beginning of every month. And so there's a lot of golf balls on there. And for me personally, it's always fun to look at because it can kind of tell you what's coming in the future before maybe some products are released into the market. But, your question of conforming versus maybe a ball that's not on that list. So if it's the way I see it is, and the way I understand it, if a ball is not on that list, then it's not allowed to be used in a USGA conforming event.
Right.
If it is the average hack who is looking for a ball that may give them a little more distance, or a ball that's not on that list that maybe they like, then I don't think there's too giant of an issue with that. What deems a ball to be non-conforming? There's illegal distance golf balls out in the market that you've seen through the years. They're a little bit smaller, a little bit heavier, so you tend to get more roll off of those golf balls. Those would not be on that list. And then if someone makes a golf ball and chooses just not to get it USGA conforming, it wouldn't be on that list. Doesn't mean it's a bad golf ball. They just didn't go through those steps or chose not to. So does it mean it wouldn't work for your game? No. It just depends what style of golfer you are as to if you want to take a chance on that golf ball.
Interesting. All right, let's start picking apart some of these balls that are available these days. I'm going to go just with the low-hanging fruit, Titleist Pro V1x. Now, that's the ball that I play because I found that they, I don't know why. I honestly don't know why, but I like the Pro V1x more than I like the Pro V1. And I really could not verbalize why I'm more comfortable with it.
Right.
But there is a difference between the two balls, right?
Well, absolutely. And, it goes back to trying product out, right? And so if you and I were to take the Pro V1X out, it works for you. It may not work for me at all. Now this was years ago. I tested it out, and for me, the Pro V1X flew like a wounded duck when it came off the club face. And it's because that ball just wasn't made for my swing. The Pro V1 worked great, and the Pro V1X technically is a high launch, high spin ball, where the Pro V1's a mid launch, mid spin, and most recently they came out with that Pro V1X left dash golf ball, which is a high launch, low spin. So it kind of meets in the middle. And that ball's also been a really popular mover for Titleist recently.
So they made a hybrid of the two balls and called it a left dash.
Yep, the Pro V1X left dash, high launch, low spin. And so I think for a lot of golfers who are very serious about their game, that means a lot to them. They love a higher launch point. They also don't want it to spin as much.
Off the tee, you don't want it to spin as much, but with your wedges and your approach shots, you want to be able to have some of that spin, right? Because otherwise it would just release.
Yep. Fully agree. Unless you're like me and I just want run out. I need as much. I know I'm not going to chip it right. I know I'm not going to do anything. I don't need it to check. I just need it to keep rolling.
So you have to play your shots like, okay, if the pin is 110 yards away, I got to hit it 101 and let it roll out.
I never play for the perfect shot because for me, that doesn't exist. I play for what I believe my game's going to do and hit it short. And so because of that, I also play, maybe I'll take, instead of a sand wedge around the greens chip, and I'm going to use my pitching wedge, which will give me more rollout.
Okay, so where does the Avx fall from? Now you have a high launch, high spin, low launch, low spin, high launch, low spin. What is Avx? Where does that fit into their mix?
So the Avx, I always look at it too in comparison to different brands. Most brands always have a ball that compares to other balls within other brands' families, and so the Avx is made to be a little bit of it's a long golf ball first and foremost. It is a longer golf ball, but it's got a little bit of a lower compression on it. And as far as spin, it is not going to spin like a Pro V1, but it will certainly be able to stop for you. It just won't have that high spin rate around the greens. But everything I've ever been told by people who have hit it, who have a much better game than I, say they get an extra 5 to 6 yards with their irons on that ball.
Uh-huh. So it's a longer ball, low compression, low spin.
There you go.
Okay. That's the AVX. Is there anything else coming out from Titleist that we should be aware of?
This year, not on their tour level. You know, the Velocity and the True Feel just came out most recently. And then they do have their Tour Speed and Tour Soft, which will be coming out in really, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, in May. Those two will be coming out.
May of 2022.
Yep.
Uh-huh. And what are the differences of those balls? Now, those are more directed at amateur play, not the tour.
Agreed. So those balls are technically already in the market, but we've hit that 2-year window, and so those will be coming out. The Tour Speed is a 3-piece urethane, where the Tour Soft is a very popular, but it's a 2-piece Surlyn golf ball. So that ball, you know, it gets into us folks who lose golf balls more than others. That ball might work a little bit better or feel better in your pocketbook versus some of the higher priced golf balls.
Now, I know they market this and they focus a tremendous amount of energy, the manufacturer's tremendous amount of energy on the tour. Mm-hmm. But should the average golfer, the amateur golfer, even, you know, guys who play in local tournaments and whatnot, should they be looking at what the pros play? Because honestly, Johnny, are the pros playing stuff that's available to the public, or do they get customized balls?
I would say the majority are probably playing what those tour level balls are on the market. So Pro V1, Pro V1x, there's versions out there that are specifically made for those pros. But I think that's on the minority side of things as far as a smaller percentage. You know, between Bridgestone, Callaway, TaylorMade, I think the versions that you're seeing on the shelf are what those pros are playing.
Really?
I do. Okay. Yeah, and there's nothing I've seen otherwise. You know, you see some of that small percentage, obviously, that are specifically made, but there's nothing I've seen otherwise that tells me that a TP5, for instance, there's a version being specifically made for a certain pro. Everything I've seen leads me to believe that the majority of the balls, the tour level balls on market, are what the pros are using.
Wow. But these guys are so good that it's really like if a sponsor came along with enough money to entice them saying, hey, we want you to play our ball, it's like it's a negotiation between their agent. It really, I mean, or do players really say, you know what, I can't stand that ball. I don't care how much you pay me. I don't want to play it.
Yeah. So it's the idea of pay for play or free agency, right? And so I think you've seen it in the last few years. Some of our tour level pros are more open to free agency. And so that's, to me, encouraging. You know, they want to play the best product for their game. And in some instances, there's been very easy transitions for pros when they make the move. You look at John Rahm, right? He switched over to Callaway a little over a year ago, and it was a fairly seamless process for him. And so others, it takes a little more time to get the product dialed in. And so it's a very valid question. You know, do you take the offer of, hey, I want you to play 14 clubs and our ball for so much a year, or do you take the offer, I'm going to do free agency and work with what's best for my game, and I'm going to hedge my bets on I'm going to make more money that way?
Mm-hmm. Sure, because if they're not winning and they're not in the money, it doesn't matter what ball they're playing.
100% agree.
Yeah, they're not going to give them the exposure.
Right.
All right, let's take another time out. We're going to get away from Titleist. There's so many other brands out there, and there's so much new product. We got to keep going. So we'll be back after this. You mentioned just a few minutes ago, there's the Bridgestone, there's Callaway, who are also major players out there. Do either of them have new product that we should be paying attention to this in 2022?
Sure. With Bridgestone, we'll go there first. Their entire Tour B lineup, which is their tour level golf balls, have all been released in just the last couple of months, and so there's definitely that's worth noting. Obviously, some of their tour pros are a little more well known than others, in Tiger being one of their figureheads for using their golf balls. From there, if we jump into Callaway, their whole Chrome Soft lineup, including Chrome Soft, Chrome Soft X, and Chrome Soft XLS, were all golf balls that were released this year as well, in color variations and their TrueViz patterns. So you can see when I said over 70 golf balls being released in 2022, that could be white, yellow, the TrueViz soccer pattern. There's just a lot of individuality also available in those golf balls now.
Oh, so when you're saying 70 new products out there, that includes just it could be the same ball, but just has different color offerings.
Yeah, when I look at product addition to the website, I have to look at the individual line items of those products. And so you've got white, yellow, TrueViz. You could have triple track. That's all within the Callaway Tour family. So there's a lot of different. But that takes 70 individual times we're adding product to the website to get it active for the website.
Okay, so now you can answer a debate that I've been having with friends, and that is, when we talk about the color of the balls, I look at the ball and I go, "That's a green golf ball," and they're going, "No, it's yellow. It says on the box yellow." It's like, I'm sorry, that's green. I see a green golf ball. Am I wrong? Is that a yellow or is that green?
Well, I think it's right for you. How's that for a diplomatic answer?
Terrible.
Sorry. It's nowadays with the matte finishes and everything else, what can be green to someone can be yellow to someone also, just as easily.
But come on, fake news.
There are so many color options out there nowadays, and think back to the 80s, the 90s, there wasn't much out there, right? You had orange, yellow, and white. I think that was really about all you had. And now it is all about options, color options, you name it. And it makes for a fun market. It really does.
Well, it makes for miniature golf is what it makes for. I mean, to me, that's what I see. When I see these bright red balls, I'm like, oh, yeah, I played one of those in a miniature golf course recently.
All right. So are you telling me then you're a white golf ball player?
I am.
All right. I do not judge. I love all color options. I can tell you I have used my fair share of yellow. I've used my fair share of red because I can spot it from anywhere.
But you can't see the red ones in the sky. I lose sight of the red ones in the air.
The two I lose sight of are blue, obviously, and green when it's finally hit the earth. I tend to lose those a lot easier. But the red, all I do is trust I hit it straight, and typically you can scan the ground and find that pretty easily.
All I know is the times that I've played with yellow or green or whatever you want to call it, I'll call it a green golf ball, I lose them faster. I probably don't, but I think I do.
Well, then let me tell you first. Thank you. Thank you for losing your golf balls fast. That helps
us. Let's see. The Callaway, they have a new ball. Let's see. Which one is that? So
they've got their new tour balls, their new Chrome Soft X, the XLS. That was their big 2022 launch this year.
Okay. And all right, so we went over that. Now,
Yep.
Another one that I saw a video about was this Wilson Staff Triad. Tell me about that one.
Yes. Yeah, so the Triad, and I'll tell you a little bit too that surprised me in a very positive way. And so I have been a fan of Wilson Staff golf balls for years. You know, look at the 80s and their 90s. They had a fantastic run as far as tour representation, just everything that they had going out at that time. And they've really done a great job, I'd say, within the last 10 years of picking up that momentum again in the quality of their product. With the Triad golf ball, that's a 3-piece urethane golf ball that sells for $39.99 a dozen. So that's first. It's not quite at that 47 or 49 price point, so it's a little bit more affordable for the average Joe. But 3-piece urethane, and kind of, you know, the name behind it, the Triad. They're touting for a long, stable flight, looking for control on approach shots and just accuracy around the greens. And so that's kind of what the name designates, are those three things that they're trying to do. From my end, I can add product to the website all day long, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's also going to sell fast either. But I can tell you, I was very, very pleased when I saw how fast we moved through these golf balls. So that's two parts. That's Wilson doing a great job marketing the ball, but just as important is obviously there's something to the quality of that golf ball that we sold through the amount that we did as quickly as we did.
Unbelievable. Huh. And what about this, another one that I talk about patterns and colors and things, Tour Response?
Yeah, so the Tour Response for TaylorMade, that was one of their big launches this year, which the color is typically always they offered in white or yellow, but this year they made a stripe option. So literally it is a stripe through the center pole of the green of the ball, a very large stripe for putting purposes, alignment purposes. And, you know, you see it and you're like, whoa, if you feel that way about green golf balls, you know, or hitting the red golf balls, I kind of thought the first thing when I saw that, I was like, man, that's loud. But just like that Triad, we moved through that inventory, whether it's people wanting to be the first to try it or trying it and knowing the quality of the ball already, ordering multiple dozens to make sure they get their allotment to cover them for the next couple of months. But that's been a very, very surprising SKU for me also, is that giant alignment aid on the ball. It stands out and it makes it very easy to line your putt up.
Well, I'll tell you, that intrigued me tremendously when I watched the video review of it, because I'm the kind of guy who likes to draw a line, and I use one of those, the Easy Go, one of the things what is it called?
Yeah, I know exactly. It's been a while. I know what you're talking about.
It spins the ball, right? So you find supposedly find the center of the ball and the true center of it. So I always put line on my ball like that, because I use that line when I'm setting up off the tee to make sure that I'm standing perpendicular to the ball. And pointing down my target line. And then I use it for putting as well. So when I saw this TaylorMade tour Response with this big line on there for alignment, I thought, okay, that intrigues me. That could be interesting for me.
Oh, I can tell you too, just everything you just told me, you are now no longer allowed to call yourself a weekend hack. Because you take your game seriously.
I've done 840 episodes of this podcast over 17 years. I've become a student of the game. Yeah.
Fair point.
Vulvic seems to have made a name for themselves. I'm seeing a lot of lost Vulvic balls.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So that means, you know, when you see a lot of balls that are lost, you know, I've mentioned this before. I haven't told you, but I live next to a country club, and my house, my backyard is up against the fairway. So I get my fair share of golf balls. Now, 70% of what I get in my yard say Titleist on them, but it's interesting to me what else I find out there. And I've been seeing more and more Vice and more Vulvic balls than
Absolutely.
I have in the past.
Sure. Well, with Vulvic, they've been around in the States for well over 20 years, give or take. Mm-hmm. And they caught fire right out the gates, really through grassroots in the Florida region with the original two-piece Vulvic Crystal, which was a low compression two-piece golf ball, but it caught fire. And they have since transitioned themselves to more of a three-piece performance golf ball while still offering two-piece golf balls. But, you're seeing those matte finish golf balls, right, in your backyard with the with Vulvic. So you're seeing those in green, in red, in every color in the rainbow. They offer that now, which is it's fun to watch the sell-through on those and how the market took to it, and with Vulvic, you look at imitation is sometimes the most sincere form of flattery. When it comes to color options and everything else, there's a whole lot of brands now that took note of some of the popularity of some of those colors and are now offering them. Vulvic's got a great lineup with really their Vivid golf ball is their driving force for us as far as sales go, but they still offer the Crystal. They still offer some tour level S3, S4 balls. They are a fantastic company. They are well run. They do a great job marketing their colors, and their people who use them are very loyal to that.
You know what? Let's take one more time out because there's some off brands that fascinate me that I want to ask you about and see what you have to say. So let's take one more time out. We'll be back right after this. This week on Golf Smarter Mulligans is part 8 of our 9-week series, Spring into Golf Season, with Tony Manzoni, that's going to run just one more week after this. This week, Tony addresses the disparity between men and women's golf, which is not ability, it's distance. And he also talks about how to deal with nerves, which affects all golfers.
We all get nervous, we all get anxious, and that never goes away, and hopefully never will, because adrenaline is a good thing if you use it properly. But if you set up to the ball properly, whether you're hitting the ball, chipping the ball, whatever, now your body dictates the distance the ball is going to go by, its rotation and tempo. You can fine-tune this thing really quick, opposed to trying to time your hands when they turn over, how fast they turn over, and so forth. And those are the things that the modern swing, even though this is not really a modern swing, but it's a modern way of teaching. You watch the tour now. You look at the guys when they step to the ball. You don't see anybody way behind the ball at address anymore. There was a guy by the name of Jerry Hogan that said, I want you to stand above the ball but not behind it. And that's a great statement.
Tony's book, The Lost Fundamental, One Simple Move, Better Golf Forever, is available on Amazon, and he has a video of the same name, and it can only be seen online on our private channel. If you want to see it, send me a request, golfsmarterpodcast@gmail.com. And for more on Tony, visit golfsmarter.com/Tony. That's Golf Smarter Mulligans, the best of the Golf Smarter archives, released every Friday. Johnny, the thing that I find so interesting these days is the amount of, not product, I want to say brands, the amount of new brands that are out there trying to appeal to a younger demographic, whether it's clothes or even golf clubs with the Sticks golf clubs and these various lines of clothing that my son, who mid-30s thinks is the coolest stuff and will wear it. And then I'm like, yeah, I that's not for me. And so I see that the way the Vice ball is being marketed, it seems like it's being marketed to a younger demo.
Fully agree with you.
Am I missing that?
Fully agree with you. And honestly, we know those guys. we know those guys pretty well. We've been knowing them for a few years now, and so they have done a fantastic job at marketing their product to that style of demographic. One thing that comes to mind when I think of them is passion. They are passionate about their product, about their offerings, their customer base. Their business model, they're more direct to consumer, so they sell direct. But we talk to those guys a couple times a year. They're great guys, and their product is unique. It has great feedback. Obviously, you've seen through many different reviews on their product. They know what they're doing as far as the golf balls they're making, and they do a great job marketing it to the public.
Define unique. Are you saying a unique product or unique marketing?
I'd say it's a little of both. So it's been years since I've used their product just because of their business model. I'm trying stuff that we have in our building.
Okay.
But, as far as their golf balls, there's one, if I'm not mistaken, there's some very different colors that they offer that you wouldn't see in Vulvic, you wouldn't see anywhere else. That makes it unique. And there's even one that had like a speckled paint look to it. It was really, really unique looking. And so from there, you look at their marketing that they do, and they make it. They would make me feel cool and want to play their product. So that's they do a great job going after that.
Johnny, you have 4 teenage daughters. Forget about being cool. We're not cool anymore.
Oh no, it is my job to be uncool.
Yeah, exactly.
And I own that with a badge.
But the Vice product, is it a better golf ball, a different golf ball? Is there something that they're introducing, or is it really I hate to use this phrase, a marketing ploy?
Mm-hmm. Sure. I would say their product, mind you, not having really researched it or played it recently, but every review I've seen, whether it was on GolfWorks or any of these message boards, the product speaks for itself first and foremost. The product can play against any brand out there.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. I like that. All right. Now, there's 2 other products that I'm really fascinated to see if you know anything about or have any commentary on it, or if it just you guys don't carry it so you wouldn't know.
Sure.
When I first started doing this podcast in 2005, I was introduced to a company that was introducing an eco-friendly golf ball made from recycled product, which I thought was fascinating, and I liked the ball a lot. I liked the way it played, and that was Dixon. Are they still happening? What's happening with them?
That's a good question. So we carried them years ago,
right.
And I don't know. We haven't carried them in some time, but you're right. The eco-friendly golf ball. There was the idea of a green golf ball. There's certainly something to that, and to my knowledge, they are still around, still in the business, but that idea of that eco-friendly golf ball was something that a few other brands also took a shot at. And I think really Dixon was one of the only ones that kind of were able to own it more than others.
And I liked the ball. I mean, they had the Dixon Earth. What was it? Dixon Earth, the Dixon Fire, which was their long ball.
Yep, that's right.
High-end ball. And then the Air. Yeah, of course. Air.
It almost sounds like a 70s song.
Yeah, right. Earth, Wind, and Fire. And I liked the product. We had a nice relationship. We were giving balls away for a while, which was really great. But again, I've not, since I moved into a house where I don't have to worry about balls anymore.
Right.
I stopped playing them, and I was like, oh, I get to pick the Titleist ball that I would not buy, but I'll play with them. Except I'm not a guy who spends a lot of time looking for balls in the woods. I don't have to. But my plea to every listener in the world, please spend more time fixing divots on the green than looking for golf balls during your round. Please. If you want to look for golf balls, go out on your own time, but don't do it while we're playing.
Look, I just lose them and buy more. That's all there is to it. Please.
Directly from Johnny Cox at golfballs.com.
I will be happy to find the right golf ball for your game.
And is that something that you guys will do if somebody calls up? Is there a customer service line at golfballs.com that you'll say, look, here's my game, here's how often I play. What would you suggest? Yeah,
so we've got real golfers on staff. First and foremost, that is something through the years you learn best business practice. And for us, one of those things was we wanted real golfers on the phones. And so I would say if you call in, odds are you're going to get somebody who plays the game and who likes to talk the game and who can. I get emails all the time about questions on different products or golf balls, and I'm always happy to respond to those. It's people are looking for the right ball for the game, but they're also looking for the right value too. Everybody's looking to save a buck, and so there's always deals out there, different ways to take advantage of that.
Mm-hmm. Good. Well, it's a great service. It's a great company. Here's my last question now. A golf ball that seemed to have some controversy surrounded by it, and I don't know if you guys would carry this unless you carry used ones. Kirkland.
Yes. The answer is no. We do not carry Kirkland. And you're right.
Only the only way at Costco.
There you go. Actually, I think it's also on Amazon now. Costco they have their own Kirkland store. But you're right. A few years ago they took the world by storm with that ball, and I can tell you, I tried to get my hands on it. I could never do it at my local Costco or through their online store. I wanted to see what all the buzz was about, but it was very popular. I mean, I had rarely seen something come out with that kind of force when that ball was first released. Now, it's my understanding some things have changed since then, but the ball and their products that they offer are still quality products.
Oh yeah, if it's got the Kirkland name on it, you can pretty much trust that they've done their research and they're putting out some really quality product. Now, from what I understand, the initial ball that came out from Kirkland was they were stopped by Acushnet, who owns Titleist, if I'm not mistaken, because of conflict of some sort, or
I'm not sure on the details. I wanted to say it had to do. I can't speak to that. I want to say that particular ball had something to do with another brand's core or something along those lines. Whether it was Acushnet or another brand, I can't speak to. But I remember they had sold out of all their product by the time anything came of that. But it definitely it caught fire, and it caught fire fast.
And then they disappeared for a year or two, but they're back. And again, because it's Costco and it's a Kirkland product, they can't keep them on the shelves because the price point is so desirable.
Absolutely. I mean, it is tough to beat, isn't it?
Yeah. And now they're coming out. They've come out with a putter that's getting good reviews, and even some wedges. Yeah,
they've got the wedge pack. I saw that.
Yep.
We always, no matter where I go, whether it's Walmart, Costco, you name it, I walk around the sporting goods section. You just always like to see what it looks like.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, Johnny, this has been a phenomenal education. I really appreciate your time and your expertise, and coming on and tolerating my questions.
No, this is fun. I very much appreciate it. I look forward, if you ever want to chat again, just let me know.
Oh, absolutely. I think we're going to have to do this on an annual basis to just get an update on what's out in the market.
That sounds great. Looking forward to it.
When I recorded this conversation with Johnny, my wife and I were staying in Ojai, California, at a funky but cute little motel called the Ojai Rancho Inn. not to be confused with the Ojai Valley Inn and Spa, which is just down the street, but miles beyond our pay scale. I hope that Johnny's audio wasn't too distracting, but his information was so good, I really wanted to share it with you. Now, I was hoping to play with Dr. Joe Parent while in Ojai, but something came up at the last minute and he couldn't make it. But he did recommend that I play a wonderful public course called Soule Park Golf Course. And it's spelled Soule. The course has lots of challenges. I used all the clubs in my bag, some really wonderfully designed holes, and beautiful scenery everywhere you looked. I'll include a couple of photos from my round on today's blog post at GolfSmarter.com. And while doing this, I want to thank my playing partner that I met at the first tee, Bill Hornstein of HornsteinCreative.com, for his course knowledge and great conversation. Bill's a golf course photographer, so looking at the course through his eyes made it even more special. And if I have one regret about my round, it's that I didn't get to meet and talk to a gentleman in the group in front of us. Now, two of our foursome was part of a regular group of 18 seniors that plays 3 times a week together. They informed me that the only guy who was in a cart in front of us, who was actually moving exceptionally slow, had just celebrated his 101st birthday the week before. 101, and still playing golf 3 times a week. Yeah, he didn't hit it far, but he hit it straight most of the time, and he's been shooting his age or lower for a couple of decades. Incredible. And a goal for all of us, I guess. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for upcoming episodes, please click on the Hey Fred button at GolfSmarter.com.